Test. Joshua, do we need to pass the microphone, as people will need to pass the microphone? Okay.
Yes.
So I kind of introduce you. Okay. If you want to maybe here, because I'm going to have it here. Yeah. Hi. Okay, could we get everyone to take your seats, and thank you for joining us. Please take your seats. And as this evening is being recorded, and I'm being told I need to hold this microphone close to my mouth, we'll need for each one of the candidates to do the same, okay? So we had to sacrifice a little bit. I know sometimes it's difficult in the back to hear, but we want the recording and the live stream to be more emphasized. So please make sure you're holding this mic to your mouth as you go. So, on behalf of the Libertarian Party of Pima County, I welcome you to the Tucson City Council Candidate Forum. I am Drew Heaton, the County Chairman. We'd like to especially thank our Mayor and City Council candidates, and we've created a special token of our appreciation. There's something for you to take back here. In addition to scenes from our beautiful state and food treasures from our local businesses such as Barrio Bread and Shari's Berries, we've also included a book for you to reference about libertarianism. If you ask 100 libertarians why they're in the party, you're likely to get 100 different answers. By definition, we are the very antithesis of a homogeneous group. The only principle upon which we soundly agree is the exclusion of intrusive government intervention in our lives and the lives of others. We practice the active defense of those with whom we disagree. That is the key. If that alignment with any other party includes aggression towards another, we categorically reject it. Now, I share that with you because in the book that I'm sharing with each one of the candidates, our mayor candidates and also our city council candidates, there's a part of this, the preface, which reads, in non-technical terms, the libertarian is simply someone who is against the use of force against peaceful people in civil society. I want to believe that every one of you and every one of our city council candidates believes that. And so, as a way of helping to share with you what your libertarian brothers and sisters think about government and how to solve some of those problems, because I know that each one of you has stepped up to run to office to solve some problems. And we appreciate that. That's why we wanted to thank you. Regardless of whether or not your election is successful, you've already distinguished yourself as someone who's a leader in our community. So regardless the outcome, I hope that you will stand with me and help me to promote what I consider my message in our beloved Pima County and Tucson, which is liberty is kind. So with that, I would like to introduce Ramon Garcia. He is our state secretary for the Libertarian Party, where I'm especially blessed to have him here in Pima County and my party here. And he's going to be moderating the candidates, and so I'm going to turn the time over to him, and he's going to explain how the evening will run. So just make sure that you take your gift as you leave. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Drew. As Drew mentioned, this microphone is strictly for the live stream. And so as you speak out here to the constituents that attended and also those that are watching online, make sure to project. And that way the people in the room can hear you, but also the live feed also picks you up. As Drew mentioned, my name is Ramon Garcia. I am the secretary for the Arizona Libertarian Party. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for attending. I would also like to thank the Pimalp Libertarian Party for hosting this event. And those candidates who are here, I appreciate you all. For those that are not here, if you are a constituent of a candidate that you would like to see up here, make sure to reach out to their campaign, to their party, and ask them to get involved in these types of events as we try to get these done every election year so that people have a chance to listen to their candidates who they'll be voting for. So get out there, get informed, and make sure to get out there and vote. Real quick, we're going to go over the rules. Mayoral candidates, you have 2 minutes to give a brief introduction of yourself. Then we will go into 3 different questions. You will have 3 minutes to answer each question, and that will conclude our event for the mayoral candidate. Then we'll move over to the city council candidates, and they'll have the same. That'll be a larger group, so that'll be take a little bit more time. But without further ado, I will just start right here to my right. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself, and welcome.
Thank you, Ramon. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Peter. And thanks to the Libertarian Party for inviting me here today to be with you. This is an important election that we have here this cycle, and so I loved your line, Drew, that liberty is kind, so I love it. Running for mayor has been one of the professional honors of my life. I made a pledge to the mayor last time, and again this election cycle, that my campaign would be professional, full of integrity, and focus on the issues, not the personalities. She has held true to that commitment, and for that I am thankful. I think we should all commit to that. I have held true to that, even in the face of some emails and some Facebook posts on my own Facebook page. However, I believe that in the last few years, the politics in our nation, in our state, and in our city has manipulated some to bring out the worst in each other. The election for mayor is critical this year, as Tucsonans will make a choice about whether to continue down a path of bringing out the worst in us or use our political leadership to bring out the best in us. I believe Tucsonans want to have true leaders in City Hall. I will bring to the mayor's office a lifetime of leadership, 55-year legacy of my family small business, a proven record of leading 24 business and community organizations over the years. I have a doctorate in leadership and 3 decades of teaching leadership at the University of Arizona. Tucson is full of potential. Its people are resilient and resourceful, but it's going to take all of us working together, not dividing into haves and have-nots, unfortunately not D's and R's and L's, not letting lack of leadership be business as usual. To paraphrase John F. Kennedy, ask not what your city can do for you, ask what you can do for your city. Together, we can hire more police officers and firefighters, we can arrest the crime issue, we can attack the fentanyl epidemic, we can address the homeless crisis, we can repair the conditions of our roads, we can ensure the safety of our parks, and we can guarantee clean water for our citizens.
Thank you, Ramon. Okay, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. It's so great to see so many of my supporters, and I'm growing supporters across the city. And the reason I'm growing supporters across the city is because people are fed up, and they're looking for a leader that is ready and willing to fight everyone in this town to make it right. Now, my name is Janet Wittenbreaker, and I'm running for mayor of Tucson. And the reason I'm doing that is not necessarily by choice, by destiny, and by necessity. I'm a 37-year-plus professional administrator. I work in contracts administration now, but I've had a diverse background. I was once a fire inspector, and I even worked for the city manager's office for a number of years. I graduated from Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law with a master's in legal studies. And I'm going to tell you this much. I do not take anything from anyone. And I am ready to fight for this town, whether you like it or not. I'm not worried about Rahina's feelings. I'm worried about you, the constituents, how you've seen your city being run down and destroyed, the homelessness crises, the crime epidemic, the fentanyl abuse, and not to mention our roads and our infrastructure. So for you, Tucson, that's why I'm here, and I want you to remember my name, Janet Wittenbreaker, Republican candidate for mayor.
I'm Arthur Kirshen. I'm Libertarian candidate for mayor, and I've been here in Tucson for more than 30 years. I graduated from the U of A, and I've always been a libertarian. I've always believed that minimal government is necessary. That there's always the temptation, no matter how good your intentions are, to corrupt any government program. And it's necessary to only have those things that we can all agree on, those things that we can reach a consensus on. 50+1 majority doesn't work for government, in my opinion. And as long as we realize that we're selecting minimal government and implementing it, it can work. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say. So I encourage you all to join the Libertarian Party, even if you don't vote for me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to the three candidates for that introduction. The first question we have, recently in New Mexico, Governor tried to circumvent the U.S. and New Mexico Constitution by mandating a gun ban in one of their counties. As a local official, what would you do at the local level if a state or federal government tried to infringe on an individual's Second Amendment rights? Start with
Well, we wouldn't do that under my administration. The Second Amendment is a federal issue, and we tried that. I don't know if you remember. We tried to have a gun turn-in program that the city of Tucson was trying to do a buyback program, and it was found to be not in keeping with the Constitution and not in being with the state Constitution as well. So I wouldn't be in favor of that. I believe that the city municipalities need to follow state law and federal law, and municipal law governs just the things that are in the city charter. So I would not be a fan of what the New Mexico people have done.
same question for all three candidates.
Sure, thank you. So even more recent, Arizona decided we wanted to give our bought back weapons to Ukraine. Yeah, so it is quite ridiculous what our government's trying to do. Look, the Constitution, that's okay, Fernando. The Constitution is pretty clear. But let's talk about the Arizona Constitution. I will govern at the consent of the governed, and I will protect their rights. Our rights are God-given, and they cannot be taken away from us. It really is that simple. And if Crazy Hobbs thinks she can take away our Second Amendment rights, I would take it all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Well, the Second Amendment is one of those rights that it would be very hard to take away without things turning to violence. As a libertarian, I believe that that is the reason why we have the Second Amendment, is as a deterrent. We always have that threat over the government if you turn against us, if you betray us, you know, and the Civil War was a revolution of sorts, but over something that I think libertarians would have sided with the North. And I hope that never happens again in the United States or in Tucson. But you know, I'm in favor of the Second Amendment and the right to keep and bear arms, and that's a necessary part of our society, and it's a great deterrent.
All right, next question. The Federal Reserve is currently testing a digital currency. If enacted, this would give them and the federal government greater control over individuals and businesses, privacy and spending. As a local government official, what will you do to prevent a state or federal government from mandating a digital currency controlled by the Federal Reserve, or would you support it? Now, I know recently the federal government, the Congress, has put a halt to that, but you never know with elections, party control changes and things like that, so it could always, you know, come back during your term if elected. So I'll start again.
I wouldn't be in favor of digital currency. Matter of fact, I'm one of those people that says that the gold standard might be the thing to do and go back and have gold be the backing behind our Federal Reserve. Fake money that's out there, so, and we're $2 trillion in debt federally, so if it came, you know, to that, on the city level, obviously we would have to follow federal and state law, but I would be a bully pulpit to say that the Federal Reserve shouldn't go to digital currency, and we should probably, again, re-examine the fact that gold should be the backing our federal money so that we have something tangible to look at. And the digital currency is the exact opposite of that. There's nothing there. It's just there. So I wouldn't be in favor.
Look, I never thought I'd say this in a million years, but I don't trust our government. Our government has been radicalized on both sides of the aisle, and we have much to distrust. And one is the effort to pull away our rights, take our currency away from us, and track us. And we know they want to track us and control us. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running for office. And I'm sorry for those of you who have heard me speak 1,000 times, but I'm going to say it one more time. Our nation is at danger. We are losing our nation because we gave up on our cities, one municipality at a time. And it's all of us that has to resist this. And you resist this by getting behind your candidates. You resist this by going out and knocking on doors. And I know many of you have done that for me already. But we cannot allow for this to happen. So my answer is no. I would not tolerate it. But Ed is correct. And Arizona is bound by state law. But that doesn't prevent Arizona from taking the state and the governor to court to stop this. Now, understanding all these things, our rights rest with we the people. And we need to be a solid voice. And we need to stand up for what's right and not allow it to happen. I personally use cash everywhere. I take quite pride when the cashier has to get out a piece of paper to calculate how much money to get back. Use cash. You can stop this. This is your control. Remember, there's a big difference between government. You know, first of all, I'm going to back up my friend Arthur. The more your government gets involved, the more screwed up things get. And that's the truth of the matter. Society needs to take control of these situations and get involved. So please, everyone, use cash. I know it's convenient to pull out your card, unless, of course, you melted it in your car like I did, and it doesn't quite work in the little slidey thing. But use cash. Fight this, and fight it hard. And as mayor, I will fight this hard. And I've learned a lot from the libertarians. I've noticed the excessive install of 5G towers. Makes you wonder why those are being installed. I've heard about Agenda 2030. I'm very concerned for this country, but I need all of you to back it up. Put your money where your mouth is and don't stand for your government to do this. Thank you.
No, I have talked to some libertarians at different conventions, and there is an effort to create a private currency or several different private currencies. The digital currencies are backed by, well, they're not backed by anything, of course. They're backed by less than gold, less than paper, but the mathematical formulas, they say, are finite. They can't be printed forever. And that creates an inherent value. So I wouldn't totally dismiss the idea of having some kind of digital backing, even if you still had a paper currency. Now, Ed mentioned that the national debt was $2 trillion. I think that's the deficit. It was $2 trillion just this year. The national debt is more like $36 trillion. And okay, and that's enough time.
Sorry. Yeah. I've been told to mix it up a little bit, so I should apologize and kind of rotate the who goes first. But last question for the mayoral candidates. What does diversity, equity, and inclusion mean to you in terms of how they apply to Tucson residents, businesses, and local government? And again, we'll mix it up here.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, diversity. We're a diverse group of people. Everyone in this room, and I am very proud that we're all standing in this room, or one of us is standing, I guess, at this point. We're all sitting in this room, and not I'm sure not one of you had thought, that person's this color, or that person's that color. No, we don't think that way. We're a diverse culture, and that has made our culture grow, and it's made us what we are today. Equity, I don't support it in one sense of the word. Equal outcomes? No. I support equality, absolutely. Equity, no. And inclusion? We are an inclusive culture. But that's the way they play the word games. And we always talk about the they. I don't believe it's the Democrats. I don't believe it's the Republicans. I believe it's the elitist. And it's the corrupt politicians that are becoming more and more wealthy. You tell me, why is Kristen Sinema worth $16 million in such a short period of time? So, back to the question. I'm sorry, I went off on a little tangent there. I can't help myself. I'm with the libertarians. I get this libertarian, this sort of energy. You guys want to go burn down something? Let's go. No, I'm joking. We're not going to burn down anything. Joshua, you might want to cut that piece. So anyhow, before I go into my nightclub act, let me just say this. We are diverse, and we are inclusive. And we also treat each other equally. Don't buy the baloney. Don't buy this bull crap. We are not a hateful nation. We are actually a very loving nation. I'm very proud to be an American. And I'm very proud to fly my flag every day. And I'm very proud of the two candidates who are here who stepped up. And that's what America's about. Thank you.
Well, yeah, diversity, equity, inclusion. You think diversity, and it's just the natural state of things, at least in the United States. Equity is forced equality or forced equality of outcomes, like Janet says, and it's not something that we should ever be in favor of. Everyone should. People need to benefit from their strengths, and they need to be punished for their failures. And that's how free society works. Making something different from that just is a violation of the natural order. Inclusion, well, that You know, that's the thing. They put the two words around the outside of it, diversity and inclusion, that kind of have no meaning at all, and they put the equity in there, which has the bite. And I think that's just political poop, as they say.
Thank you. I've had the good fortune of running for mayor the second time now. So one of the blessings when you do this, and I think the city council candidates can attest to this, it's the beauty of meeting people. You'd be surprised how many people have come up to us over the last 5 years and told us their story of why they're in Tucson, why they love Tucson, very critical of many of the things going on in Tucson, but it's the people. The people is what Tucson is all about. And if you know anything about Tucson, I've lived here all of my life, if you know anything about Tucson, we are diverse. We're a very eclectic group of people, whether we are moved in last week from California because they can't stand the governor and all the things going on over there, or if they've been here for hundreds of years and their family has lived here a long time. My family's been here for 65 years, 66 years. And we love Tucson because of its diversity, and we celebrate that diversity. In regards to the E, everybody deserves a chance to run for mayor. Everybody deserves a chance to apply for a job. Everybody deserves a chance to apply to get a mortgage. Everybody deserves a chance to do things. Equity is about giving every people who may not have the resources or the education or the ethnicity or whatever, the equal chance to be part of our community, and to, if they have what it takes, then they can get the job. If they have the resources, perhaps they get the mortgage. But it shouldn't be that because you're not one of these classes, you don't get an equal shot. And I think our whole nation is built on this equity of give everybody an equal chance. And inclusion is important because I believe that as we look at our population, that we need to reach out. Being a leader, there's lots of times when people don't feel like they're part of the process. And when you run for mayor, you talk to people all the time who say that they're left out of the process. They don't get to have their voice heard. Their representatives are not representing them. They don't feel like that politics. I can prove it to you. Only about 34% of the people vote in the elections because they don't feel like their vote means anything or that they're being represented. Inclusion means drawing those people forward and get them to participate in the process. I happen to have a second job at a place where DEI is a huge issue, and with DEI officers, and I think it's good for our country to maybe reverse some of the stuff in the past where we shut people out and didn't afford them the opportunity to be involved. I'm a very compassionate person and have lots of empathy. I want to give everybody an equal shot porque es muy importante. Las personas que están aquí necesito un alcalde like me. Okay, so I think it's really important that we have DEI. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. That concludes our mayoral question and answer. I appreciate everybody's being here. Thank you again. And we're going to take a quick break to switch out. Don't forget your gift baskets. And then we'll have the city council come up here and answer some questions. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for serving the Libertarian Party. That's great. Well, as you know, it's not the easiest thing in the world. So, yeah.
No, well, it's going to be tough. I'm glad I don't live in the city because it's just going to be a tough issue for candidates.
Well, we got some good candidates and some good people. So
Thanks again.
okay.
believe he wasn't feeling well, so we hope he, recovers quickly. And then we do have 3 candidates, I believe. There was another one that could not make it. So we'll get started. It's the same format, and then.
Another introduction, I'm so sorry. Would you give us another introduction?
Say again?
Would you give us just another introduction?
Okay, all right. Is it recording still, or? Okay, gotcha. Still mainstream? No, don't, okay. All right, perfect. So we're going to get ready to start the city council discussion. Just wanted to let everybody know that Ernie Shack had to leave because he wasn't feeling well, so we hope for a quick recovery and that he feels better. We thank the 3 candidates who are here. And again, if you don't see a candidate that you would expect to be up here, reach out to their party, reach out to their campaign, and ask them why, and make sure that in future events like this, that they get involved so that people can hear what they have to say and make an informed decision when it comes to election day. So we got city council candidates. There's elections this year for City of Tucson Ward 1, 2, and 4. And we'll get started. It's the same format as the mayoral candidates. We're going to give you 2 minutes to do an introduction, and then from there we're going to have 3 minutes for each candidate to answer 3 different questions. We will get started, and this time we'll mix it up a little bit, but I'm going to still start with whoever's closest to me. So.
I'm Pendleton Spicer, and I am not a politician, nor am I a speaker. So I am just a plain old person, and I read all my notes. So I just wanted to let you know that I've lived in Tucson, or came to Tucson 77 years ago, when I was a year old. And my parents bought a home that is now in the Old Fort Lowell neighborhood, and I currently live in that house. And so it's been in my family for 77 years. I was schooled here in Tucson, in TUSD and the U of A, and I've had a small business here in Tucson. In construction and bookkeeping. Oops. Okay, so suffice it to say, Tucson is my home and my place. I've watched Tucson grow and change. Recent changes have been difficult for me to watch as I saw our personal freedoms being eaten away bit by government. I have watched and experienced government grow and become increasingly less efficient and unable to solve the problems that the citizenry needed solving. They have become totally dependent on government to solve those problems instead of doing it themselves. Some of those problems are homelessness, crime, crumbling streets and infrastructure, and so on. Therefore, I believe we need less government and less bureaucracy, but as long as we do have the government we have, we also need better law enforcement. First responders need to be treated with the respect they deserve for putting their lives on the line on a daily basis, presumably for we the people. They need to be able to do the job they were hired to do, enforce existing laws, and protect Tucsonans from those who wish to harm them, rob them of their possessions, or defraud them. Oh dear. Well, you won't get the last paragraph.
My name is Ross Kaplowitz, and I am your next city council member for Ward 4. I moved to Tucson in 2004, and let me tell you, it was a beautiful city. It's 2023, and the city has aged. I'm not a politician. Didn't have any reason to be up here until I saw what was going on in our community. It's not attractive anymore. So I decided, since I'm invested here in the city, having a blended family of 6 children and a grandchild, age ranging from 3 to 23, it was time to put my foot down and get involved. I can't go to the park with my 3-year-old daughter like I did my 16-year-old son or my 23-year-old daughter. Can't do anything. We need to fight crime, fix this homelessness, and rebuild our roads. And I am standing up here today due to a personal tragedy that happened in 2022, and I'm here to listen to our community. My website is rossfortucson.com. If you want to donate, I take money. And I also respond to you, because I'll tell you, I've sent many emails over the past 15 years that I've owned my house in Ward 4, and not once have I had a response from the city attorney, the mayor's office, nor my city councilwoman. I'll call you back. I'll get in touch with you. That's all I hear. And not once do they do what they say they're going to do. And I promise you, as your next candidate for Ward 4, as your next city councilman, I will fight for our community.
Hello, my name is Victoria Lem. I am your candidate for Ward 1, which is our south side and our west side. Look, I am a proud second-generation American of Latin and Chinese descent. I was raised here, 44 years I've lived here. I'm raising 2 children of my own. One is 25, one just turned 17. But every single day I leave my home, I see crime on our streets. You see it as well. We see the homelessness. We endure the roads. We traverse them and damage our vehicles and everything. So that's a difficult situation that I've just watched over and over just get worse and worse in my community. My closest intersection is 12th and Valencia. I live 3 minutes away from where I was raised. My parents are there. God bless them. When my mom's going to be 80 next month, my dad's going to be 93. And watching the difference in where I was raised and how it is now when my daughter comes to me and tells me that the helicopter is her lullaby, that is not a community that I want to continue raising for my own children, for others in our community. We are sick and tired. The people that I speak to in our community are done and ready for change. The people that are in leadership now have had this long enough. It's time to fix our crime, fix our roads, and end the fentanyl encampments that are out there. We need the change. My website is victorialem.com, and I take more money than Ross.
And I will take some money as well on the way. No, just kidding. All right, let's go to the first question. Again, you'll have 3 minutes to answer it. The first question is, with a growing population in and around Tucson, what role should the Tucson city government play in striking a balance on transportation infrastructure as it relates to both public and private transportation? And we'll mix it up a little bit. We'll start with Ross.
Well, first off, I just forgot to say thank you to the Libertarian Party and for allowing me to be here tonight. So, again, thank you for inviting us. Let's see. The crime bus or the public transportation? What do we want to talk about? It's the crime bus. Okay, so until we fix our city, our buses, our infrastructure, the crime, the fentanyl, the fights, the stabbings, the shootings on our buses, what are we even talking about our bus system for? We need to fix everything else before we can work on getting our Suntran back to where it was and improve it. Make it go, extend it out to Oro Valley. Oro Valley's not allowing crime, drugs. Why are we? And they're not going to allow our infrastructure up there in Marana or Oro Valley. So my question is, why isn't our current mayor and city council fixing the problems before they build the infrastructure and expand our Suntran? beginning.
With a growing population in and around Tucson, what role should the Tucson city government play in striking a balance on transportation infrastructure as it relates to both public and private transportation?
Thank you for that question. It's a really important question, especially as a residential and commercial realtor myself, knowing that our population is growing. The infrastructure that we have now cannot withstand any more people coming in here the way that it is. We do need to address the red tape that is built around our community from growing the way that we're supposed to be growing. We do need to stop our free bus routes. This is money that we are spending of our taxpayers that is not a necessary. They have unintended consequences. The Suntran bus, the freedom of the Suntran bus has now become the crime bus. People are robbing commercial properties and jumping right back on to the buses. And so when we're talking about our infrastructure and growing that, I think it's really important to address the terrible spending that we're currently on right now. Our budget is a mess. We are recklessly spending the dollars that really need to be going to improve our infrastructure and building a great community to welcome other people and a good growth to our community.
Oh, we have one more candidate joining us for City Council, so we will welcome him. All right, Paul Cunningham, Ward 2. And we're in the middle of our questions, but are you guys okay if we finish this up? And then what we'll do is we'll let Paul have a quick introduction of himself. Pendleton, did you need me to read the question again? All right, here we go. So, and then this will help Paul. So this is our first question for our City Council candidates. With a growing population in and around Tucson, what role should the Tucson city government play in striking a balance on transportation infrastructure as it relates to both public and private transportation?
Well, first of all, with the buses, I do believe that excuse me, I'm being told to raise my voice, even though the mic is right in my mouth. And I know it's not about that. The buses are currently free, and I totally disagree with that. I think that they have become a huge danger to anybody who rides them. I think that we need to get the crime off of the buses. We need to start charging for money for the fares for the buses. At this point, many homeless people, the buses are their home, and this is not okay. They ride the bus and just keep riding it all day long and all night if they can, as I understand it. So I think that that's wrong. People need to use the bus to go to work. Many people choose the bus to go to work. So I think that having a fare and then having something that will allow people who are low income to give them, like we used to have. I mean, it was great the way it was, as far as I could tell. Regular fare and then reduced fare for people who absolutely needed it. And I think we should go back to that kind of situation. As far as private transportation, I would assume that means cars. I think we need to fix the roads, and I think we also need to not do a smart city thing of reduce transportation. I think electric cars are stupid. They are using electricity that we do not have, and whoever has decided that we need to do electric cars is out of their mind, in my opinion, because they're just going to crash our grid, with it, and you can't go anywhere. They don't want us to go anywhere privately. They don't want us to go to different places. Whoever they is, whoever is creating these smart cities, they just want to keep us in our own little boxes and our own little prisons. And they're electronic prisons, and you don't even know that they're there until you try and go out of it. And so I think government needs to stay out of this kind of stuff. Of course, I think government should stay out of almost everything. So, except for protecting us, and that's it.
Mr. Cunningham, the question, did you need me to repeat it for you, or? Please. All right, cool. So the microphone, just real quick, the microphone is for the live stream. Please project your voice so people in the back can hear you. Yes? Do you want to let Paul have a 2-minute? Yeah, shall we do the question and then, or introduction first? Let's do the question. All right. With a growing population in and around Tucson, what role should the Tucson city government play in striking a balance on transportation infrastructure as it relates to public and private transportation?
So I understand the question about public transportation and private transportation. Let's talk about private transportation first. We should probably make the roads the best we can. When I first took office, we had some 70 to 80% of the roads in Ward 2 failing. Right now, that number's below 50%. We have 2 more neighborhoods coming on. We've done 50% of the residential neighborhoods in Ward 2 since I took office in every single major corridor. So that's the private transportation part. We try to improve those roads. We do, and I've worked really hard and tried to be very methodical in Ward 2 to do that. On the public transit side, right now, my biggest concern is the safety of the drivers and the safety of the bus. I think there's a lot to be talked about on how that strategy shifts, but I don't know if actually bringing fares back is necessarily a deterrent. I think there's issues that happen on the bus that happen outside of fares, including whether or not we have passes so we can at least identify people using the bus, get a better count, and also the opportunity to suspend passes. That's, I think, one of the bigger things. Ultimately, if we continue down the road we're going to continue to lose our elective ridership. One thing I would challenge people to do is to ride the bus and actually check it out. There's certain times of the day during the shift, the swing shift, which it's mostly people going to work, and in the morning. There's also in the evening where it's from what I have, and I have not ridden the bus in the evening in a minute. So, but what I will say is that I would ask people to ride the bus and check it out, and that can give you a little bit more information perspective on, how the buses run. But that transit investment is important. It helps a lot of folks in our town get to where they want to go, and I'll continue to support it.
All right, thank you. And then we're going to give Mr. Cunningham a quick 2 minutes to do an introduction since he got here a little late. And please keep, while the candidate's speaking, keep chatter to a minimum just so we can hear, especially in the back, because it's really loud over here with the AC running. Thank you.
I know I'm probably not the most popular guy in here, and I also know that I'm an unfamiliar face. But I will say this, I'm here. And that's one thing I prided myself on since I took office. I will meet with anybody, I'll speak with anybody. Some people may disagree with some of the stuff I say, but it doesn't matter. We're still here in Tucson, we're still going to be about Tucson. I grew up here. I actually grew up right down the street. My parents live about 5 blocks away. I went to Rincon High School, stone throw away. Served in the Army, served as a probation officer. While I was in the Army, I was a medic and drove an ambulance. I fought fires here in the Army Reserve. Once I became a probation officer, I did that for 12 years and served faithfully. I was on the Correctional Officer Retirement Board and was a volunteer for my neighborhood, president of my neighborhood association. So I did a lot of things before that. I started a nonprofit to combat youth homelessness in 2006. I wrote a curriculum for kids to experience their hoop dreams. Right now I teach PE. I'm a PE teacher by day. That's my regular job. I'm proud of that job. It's a great opportunity to work with youth part of the day, and kind of get your hands dirty and be part of, the work. And then in the evening, in the afternoons, pretty much 50, 60 hours a week, try to make our city better every day. As some of you may not know, I personally go out to homeless camps and clean them up. And I personally try to meet with anybody who calls the office, and we try to just solve problems. Since I've been in Ward 2, we've improved, like I said, all the roads things I said during the last question, but also we've had major improvements to every single park in Ward 2. We had the first splash pad in Olive City built in Palo Verde Park, and the first super splash pad at Udall. We're also getting a splash pad at Fort Lowell Park and Jesse Owens Park. Jesse Owens Park is one of our best. So those are some of the things. It's nice to meet you all. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, question number 2. There's an ongoing debate about the nature of climate change, its relationship to infrastructure policies, and the responsibilities of local government, businesses, and citizens. What are your views on this topic as it relates to the city of Tucson, including how it pertains to traditional versus renewable resources of energy? I'll start with you.
Okay, so climate change here, and how what we are watching right now in our city is reduction of roads, because there's a need from our leadership to control how we move around our community, how far we go in our community, and they believe that they have the ability to control our climate when they can't control the crime, they can't control the desperate measures of homelessness and the fentanyl encampments, they can't control the roads being fixed, but you think that you can control our climate based on reducing roads, telling us how far we can go, using electricity instead of coal or traditional fuels. We are not a community of, look, America is a wasteful country to begin with. But I grew up recycling, saving water. We used to have programs that taught us how to save water again, all of these things, turn our lights off and do all of that. But it's not necessarily about saving our climate. It's about controlling our citizens, and we need to take it back. We need to take back control because our citizens need to be prosperous in our community, and they're keeping us from doing that.
Yeah.
Want to do that question again? All right. There's an ongoing debate about the nature of climate change, its relationship to infrastructure policies, and the responsibilities of local government, businesses, and citizens. What are your views on this topic as it relates to the city of Tucson, including how it pertains to traditional versus renewable resources, sources of energy?
Well, from a global policy perspective, I'm a believer in climate change. I actually think that the temperature has gone up, and that climate change is a real thing. So let's start there. So my philosophy will come from that. I think renewables are an important piece to what we do in the United States and in Tucson. I also think the conservation of water is probably paramount to that success, and creating more shade within the city limits is something we can do. The real question becomes then a matter of how much of our resources do we spend on it? And the answer is, with specifically to water conservation should be one of our biggest and most tantamount options. We have to conserve water. We have to make sure that we are in the best position for water rights. I think that's one of our biggest things. The second thing I think is when it comes to waste and recycling and renewables, I think that's stuff we can do that can be on the cutting edge. I think there's opportunities not just to capture renewables through the solar, but we can capture renewables through the methane we produce through our landfills. I think there's other opportunities to capture building materials, construction waste, and recycle it. It could help with some of the supply chain issues we have globally. So those are some of the things I think we can do to ensure that renewables work and they work for the economy of Tucson.
Russ, you want to go next? Sure.
Do you want to read it one more time?
Sure, why not? These are long questions, so I apologize for that. There is an ongoing debate about the nature of climate change, its relationship to infrastructure policies, and the responsibilities of local government, businesses, and citizens. What are your views on this topic as it relates to the city of Tucson, including how it pertains to traditional versus renewable sources of energy?
Climate change. I moved here from Boston, okay? Blizzard of 78. Everybody knows about that. So when I moved to Tucson, Arizona in 2004, climate change. You know, I knew I was moving into a community that was going to be between 112 and 120 degrees in the months of May to September. So climate change, it's there, but why are we concerned about that right now? Let's worry about our crime, our homelessness. Paul, do you go to the park? I do. It's horrible. Anyway, fight crime. Let's worry about that. Road diets. Why are we thinning our roads to make for bikes when it's 120 degrees out? It's not what we need to be concentrating on right now. Yes, scientists tell us there's climate change. So you know what? They're scientists. I believe them. But I moved to Tucson, Arizona, and I knew it was going to be 110 degrees. Again, going back on road diets, electric cars, you know what? I love my V8. No way will I buy an electric car. I drive a Hemi, by the way. So I'm not going to buy an EV. I'm not going to give in to the climate change that's going on right now until someone can actually sit down and prove it to me.
All right, I'm going to read it one more time here. There's an ongoing debate about the nature of climate change, its relationship to infrastructure policies, and the responsibilities of local government, businesses, and citizens. What are your views on this topic as it relates to the city of Tucson, including how it pertains to traditional versus renewable sources of energy?
Okay. I think there are definitely two schools of thought on climate change, and both are supported by scientists. Climate change has happened over the millions of years, and climate is going to change. And we may be affecting it a little bit, but I don't believe that we're affecting it to the extent that we're being, I think, told falsehoods about it. I don't think we need to concern ourselves with climate change to the extent that we are. And I agree, we need to change to control crime. But even crime, there's more that we need to change than just crime. We need to help people change their attitudes about things by giving them government that is very minimal, in my opinion, that supports them, that doesn't tell them what to do, doesn't take away their freedoms. We need government that is going to protect us, yes. And that's about all we need government for. We don't need to be creating all of these scenarios about how horrible life is going to be after we have climate change. And as climate changes, it's just not happening. We need to help people to become human beings again and quit taking all of this humanity away from us that is being taken away by electronics, by all the stuff that we're doing, and which brings me to another thing, is we are a very wasteful society. And I think recycling is really important because we are so wasteful. And if we bring back we start using, reusing things. My mother was reuse, recycle, whatever all that is. And I follow her in her footsteps on that. Yes, but I don't think it has anything to do with climate change. I don't think climate change is making the difference that we are being told that is making. So we just need to be reasonable. We need to change our attitudes, work at, I think government whatever it is now, could help people to be happy and not happy and own nothing. Be happy, truly happy. And I think that that's what we need to do. So that's my take.
I'm going to add something just because I love the outdoors. One thing that I've always found very helpful for myself is the right to repair. A lot of people just throw stuff away after it breaks. Not a lot of people know how to repair things, but right to repair is very important. There's a lot of wasteful things that are just thrown out that could be reused or repaired by an individual. And also it increases the economy because it'll help other individuals basically pop out businesses that do repair. So whenever my kids crack their phones, I take and have their screen fixed. Whenever there's something at home, wasteful stuff from construction that I built, something, I'll save it and I'll reuse it for something else. So right to repair, reusing things, it's very important. Thanks. I'm not running for anything, by the way. All right, here's the last question for our city council members. All right, I'm going to try to paraphrase this one because it's also a long one. Should the city of Tucson government allow municipal laws to be dictated or superseded by policies of outside institutions such as the United Nations or the World Health Organization? And we will start with Pendleton.
Okay, would you paraphrase
Yes.
that one more time?
Should the city of Tucson government allow municipal laws to be dictated or superseded by policies of outside institutions like the United Nations or the WHO, the World Health Organization?
No. That's about all I have to say is no. I just don't think that, let's keep it local. I'm running for city council. I want things to be local. I don't want to be governed by somebody's idea out there. I want to be governed by the people who are here in Tucson. And as a council person, I would invite and bring in all the thoughts and feelings and ideas and issues that my constituents want to talk about, not what the World Health Organization wants to talk about, not what the, United Nations wants to talk about. That's not who we are. Let's have our own personality. Let's let's stop taking federal dollars and find ways to bring to use the dollars that we have here in Tucson. We have dollars here. Let's use them. We have talent. We have skills. We have energy. We have all kinds of stuff. Let's use that and create a local community and create our own personality and not let anybody have mandates on us of any kind, especially not health mandates. Thank you.
Well, first off, I'm going to expand on what Spencer just said. We have talent here in Tucson, but does talent stay here in Tucson? No, it doesn't. As soon as they can fly, they leave. So the talent goes to other places and doesn't remain here because Tucson is not attractive community at this time, and we need to make it more attractive to retain that in our community. Now, Tucson, a charter city. They don't care about what Arizona says. They don't care about what the United States government says. They don't care about what who says. All they do is run by a charter that they made up, and they care about their charter. You know what I care about? I care about the Constitution of the United States. I care about the Constitution of Arizona. I took an oath as a correctional officer to protect our community, whether I was active or inactive. And I took that oath for life. So no, let's go by the Constitution, and let's go by the United States Constitution. We need to get back to that. We need to follow state laws and federal laws, and we don't need to make them up here in the city.
I know we don't know each other well, some of you, but I kind of like my own personal responsibility and being able to govern myself and not being told by outside institutions what I should and should not do with my body, and being dictated on how I can run my own health and my own authority over my body. And I would hope that you would feel smart enough to be able to decide for yourselves what to do and for your children. So I'm not going to be dictated to anybody on what to do in my life. Sorry. So that's a big no from me on that. I love the way Ms. Spicer came out and said that, but that's an absolute no. Of course, there are going to, we've already had issues with WHO and what they've done. What did it do to our community? They pumped money into our community. The government pumped money into our community. It's devalued our dollar. It's put people out onto the street, made homes and businesses unaffordable. It closed businesses down. It put people out of work. It closed their businesses so they couldn't support their own families anymore. This is the type of things that happen when we allow outside organizations to dictate to us how we run our community. It's an absolute no from me.
You don't need to read it again. For brevity's sake, no.
All right, that concludes the City Council event. We are going to, since we do have time, we're going to give candidates a opportunity to do closing statements. And
I'm sorry, actually, we have so much time, we're going to do Q&A for...
oh, we're going to do Q&A. Hey, surprise everybody, Q&A. Okay, so no closing statements just yet. All right, Q&A.
Yes, that'll be for...
Do you want the mayors up here at the same time?
I'm sorry?
Do you want the mayors here up at the same time?
Yes,
Or? All right, let's do it.
One more chair up here real quick, so...
Right on. All right, Q&A. So I'm going to go out to the audience here.
One of these chairs?
Go for it. Actually, there's an extra one there. Yep. Yeah, go for it.
So we're going to do 20 minutes until 8 o'clock. How about 1 minute per answer for each person?
That works.
And the audience can address any or all.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Ed had to. So sorry, we're kind of doing things on the fly. So sorry to Ed, he had to leave. We wish he could have stayed, but check his website out, check his campaign out. Just a little plug for him since he couldn't be here. We are going to take questions from the audience. You can direct them to one of the candidates or to all the candidates, and they'll have.
Remember, we have to go to bed tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 minute, yeah. 1 minute per answer. So if you direct it to all candidates, that's going to take quite a long time. So be respectful of others who might have a question as well. But anybody have a question? Who wants to go first? All right, gentleman on the red shirt. One moment while he, audio tech guy. He's pointing right at me.
Paul, my question is directed to you. My name is Bob Dosey. I live in Ward 2. Okay. How do you turn it on?
No, he's got it.
Oh,
So while we're doing this, let everyone know we'll do closing statements at the end of Q&A and then we'll be done.
So 20 minutes for Q&A,
Yeah.
and then 20 minutes for Q&A, and then closing statements?
I gotta go pick up my kid.
And then
How about 15?
I
Okay, 10 minutes. 10
I'll
minutes.
leave here by about 7:55. That's
Okay.
my basketball practice.
Okay, is 10 minutes good for the candidates? Yes. Okay.
are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question's for you, Paul. I live in your ward. I also live in an HOA. In 2021, I read the municipal code. If we have weeds that are over 6 inches, it's my responsibility to pull them. In 2021, I was arrested by my HOA for pulling weeds. And I sent you a picture of the weeds. Some of them were 78 inches tall, above me. Sir, you did not answer me. And I spent 21 months of my life fighting in court to get an innocent, a not guilty charge back from the court because your police officers arrested me for a stupid issue. And we have people out on the street who are getting raped and murdered. And your police officers and your city judge are prioritizing things, and I want to know why you didn't answer me and why you didn't fix that problem because it was a stupid issue because I obeyed your city municipal court judge, and I should not have been charged.
All right, Bob, first of all, thanks for choosing Ward 2. Second of all, I don't know enough about your case individually. And what I will do is I will go and find out where my email, what email you sent me and when and how we didn't answer you. That doesn't sound like my team, but we usually get back to everybody. It may have been a situation where we called back and then we didn't get an answer back. I mean, I have no idea how that goes down. There's a lot of people who have said to me before, you never called back. And we actually log everything, and we did email back, and we didn't get a response or whatever. So I don't know how that happened, but it does happen. I mean, I'm not saying that. I will say I try to respond to everybody, but I'll never say, oh yeah, for sure I respond to everybody. And if it was through email, you should have at least got an automated response. We have an automatic bounce back. So I will look into your case. I'm sorry that happened to you. I will say this. The presiding judge at our court, I was the only one to go on record for his dismissal. So that's what I can tell you.
Another question?
You know, one of the issues that we talk about is crime, obviously. You know, I go to my headquarters and we've got the homeless milling about, and, you know, you read all the crime. You know, I started looking into it. I was a TPD officer decades ago, and today Tucson PD has almost the exact same status of personnel that we had in 1975. How are you two as mayor, and I want to ask both of you mayors, what is the strategy you're going to see to expand our police protection and get this, the integrity of the agency back up and running?
I'll go first. I don't know who started this stupid trend of sitting and standing up, but I guess I'll just go with it. It's going to take a whole hell of a lot of money to rebuild our police department, and then also a whole lot of morale support. You're going to have to create a recruitment package that not only meets the surrounding neighborhoods, you're going to have to beat it by a lot. And it's going to involve recruiting from other states. You can't run everyone through the academy. That would take a lifetime. And you have attrition on top of that. You have people retired. Retired because of the vaccine mandate, Paul. And people who left because of the lack of morale. And so it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to have to take a community, because we need a community that respects their law enforcement officers. And we do that by getting them out in the community.
Now, I would say the police department is one of the sole duties that the Libertarian Party believes is part of government's function. And if I were in charge of the city of Tucson, we would be putting everything that we're squandering on other crazy programs into the police department and into prosecuting, because deterrence is the way to prevent crime.
Another question from the audience? Anybody else have a question?
This question is for Janet. Would you declare Tucson a sanctuary city?
That's an easy answer. We are not a sanctuary state, and we voted that down. So no, Tucson is not a sanctuary city. And we are accepting in people who are crossing our borders illegally on the cost of federal funding, which in the end, you are paying for. This must stop, and so no. Legal migration, we will always be the vessel to carry people and welcome into our community, but not illegal migration, especially not when these people are not being screened. They're just being dropped in our community, and Tucson is going to suffer as a result of this. So simple answer, no. And our state law prohibits it. The allowance of this continuation of this sanctuary city-esque, we'll call it, must stop, and that's why you must all vote, all of you. I got 5 seconds. And vote hard.
All right, one more question here.
I'm just curious from each of you, except for the two libertarians, why aren't you libertarian?
So, I know this is a very unpopular answer in this room, but it's who I am. I believe in government. It's something that I believe in. It's been a lifelong cause for me, and so I believe the government's there to do good, and I believe that when we try and we work hard, we do good. So that's the bottom line.
So why am I not a libertarian? Because when I took Poli-Sci 101, I read black and white what every single party stood for. At 18, I knew exactly what I was. I was a conservative Republican, and because I know Paul says he believes in his government, but I believe in our country, and I believe in our people, and I believe in our Constitution that gives us our rights to do what we have our God-given rights, and I believe that that is what we stand by. We don't stand here to create a larger government. The government is here to serve us, not us to create a larger government to provide things for us. No. They need to be minimal, and I understand that I'm speaking your language, but it needs to be as minimal as possible, and they need to serve their people.
Why am I not a libertarian? Well, I believe that we shouldn't do unto others or hurt or cause harm, just like you all do. Because if it's going to cause harm, well, that's a crime. But I'm not a libertarian because when I grew up, I read the Constitution. I had the beliefs of the Constitution, a lot of the God country, and I'm a Republican. I was a law enforcement officer. Majority of law enforcement officers believe in the Constitution. So that is the reason. And the oath. So.
Well, Sean, I would ask, why are you not a Republican? You know, I think a lot of people in this room who have gotten to know me from the Libertarian Party know I am a Republican with libertarian tendencies. I do keep those kind of closeted, but, you know, look, The Republican Party is not perfect. As a matter of fact, I would say everyone in this room doesn't represent the establishment of the Republican Party. We are grassroots, and we aren't that far apart in our beliefs. But we have numbers, and those numbers are what's necessary to win elections, so we can change what's happening here in Tucson. And so I speak from my heart to all the libertarians in this room. Consider the strength of the Republican Party and our ability to win this election, and make a soundful decision on how you proceed. Thank you. You don't get to answer that.
All right, so I think we're done. That was the 10-minute mark. Let's give everybody time for a how many minutes closure? 1 minute?
2, but I think, Paul, do you want to close first?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, closing statements for all candidates. Go ahead. We'll start this side.
I hope I'm not violating the gift clause on the gift bag. Like I said at the beginning, all the same things. But I want you to remember this. I'm here, all right? And Bob, I'm not going to forget about you, all right? And that's the fact. So I take my public service seriously. I try to serve conscientiously and deliberately. And I think that's what you want in any leader. You want someone who's deliberate and conscientious. And I pride myself on doing that. And about 99% of the time, you can write emails about how awful I am. You can tell me all the bad things that I do, and I'm going to smile and go, okay, how can I help? Because that's what public service is. So that's what I close with. I wish the time would have been right. I came at 30 minutes before my scheduled time because I wanted to at least say hello to everyone. And I'll try to stick around as long as I can. But I'm here. And I hope I know showing up isn't good enough most of the time, but tonight I hope it is. So that's really what I wanted to say.
Since you're an incumbent, can you tell us one thing you've ever disagreed with the current mayor?
Well, I can say that there are multiple 4-3 votes that we've been on opposite sides in. I mean, we've served together for a long time. So there's about 15, 16. One off the top of my head that was a big one was the restaurant closure. I actually voted against her on the restaurant closure in December of 21, which was actually one of the bigger ones. But there was just one last week where it went 4-3. That was on the opening of a dispensary in Ward 3. So it happens more than you think. Oh, by the way, thanks for having me, and go Tucson.
Is this closing statement? Closing statement. Okay. Okay. My timer, what do I have? 2 minutes? Okay. Well, she's not paying attention, so I'm just going to start now. And so, look, my name is Victoria Lem. It's victorialem.com is my website if you're still trying to figure out how to get some money into my coffers. Look, I understand that Paul's here, but showing up is not good enough. Just being present, warming a seat, is not good enough to run our city council, to run our county, run our state. You have to do more. We cannot continue measuring our success based on good intentions. I have all the good intentions in the world, but if you're not actively doing something to improve our community, then you're working against us. And if you're working against us, it's time for you to be replaced. It's time for you to get off the pot and move aside for people who do want to improve our community. Because the people that I speak to every single day, door knocking, on the phone, texting, in person, they are tired. They want representation. We are being taxed to the max without being represented, and that is not constitutional. It's time to measure our success with actual results instead of good intentions. Look, I love my community. There's a reason why I've been volunteering on our community for decades. I've done this all my life. My mom taught me how to volunteer. I bring my children out to volunteer. I'm active in my church. I'm the president of the Tucson Realtors Charitable Foundation. When I was at Raytheon, I was a liaison to the Arizona School for the Deaf and Blind. Volunteering is in my blood. And I realized that it was time to continue my service as a Tucsonan and represent you now as a city council member. So I really hope I get your vote. Thank you.
Ross4Tucson.com. I'll take more money than Victoria. So we need to triage our priorities here in the city. And we need to focus on protecting our community, because we all know government should protect us. So as your next councilman in Ward 4, I will protect our community, along with, of course, our other 3 candidates, that I can't do this alone. We need to get out and vote. So we need to protect our community, we need to rebuild our roads, and we need to fight this homelessness. And when I talk about fight crime, I include the fentanyl and the trank issue that we're having here in the city. I will respond to you, unlike our current mayor and city council members, because it is our responsibility to listen to our community to make those changes. I got an email today telling me about between Escalante and Nicaragua from Kolb. And did you know there was a walkway and you could walk all the way across there and look at those beautiful plains on the backside of Davis-Monthan? I didn't either. And I drove by it for the last 18 years that I've lived in my house. So we need to fix the issues and listen to our community and take charge, take Tucson back, give it back to the community.
Well, I wrote a wonderful closing statement and set it down somewhere. I have no idea where it is. So spicerfortucson.com or .org. I take more money than he does. I wish I could remember what I wrote, but I don't. I just want to. Oh my gosh! Oh, I was sitting on it. How cool! I have seen my beloved Tucson move toward an electronic prison for us. The powers that be make it sound like it will be heaven on earth. When I read between the lines, I see our rights taken away from us. Our right to free speech and expression will be a thing of the past. Our right to bear arms and defend ourselves will be unheard of. Our right to privacy and individuality will be non-existent. Our right to freedom of geographic movement will no longer be. This is what will happen in smart cities. Smart cities are not what they appear to be, or the utopia we are being told they will be. They are nothing short of a prison that we don't even know we're in. I am running for office to get in and stop this nightmare. There is a conspiracy and conspirators who are trying to control us and take away our humanity. That plan to control all of humanity has to be stopped. Can I do it alone? Heck no. I need your help. I need your involvement. I need your awareness of what is happening. Join me in this fight to save our community. We can make America the free country we have believed it to be, with all our freedom, all the time.
Well, yeah, I'm running for Libertarian for mayor as a Libertarian, excuse me. And I would appreciate your vote. I think I would appreciate votes for Janet as well. I think that we will both do our best to to fix the city of Tucson and to privatize as much of the city as we can. You know, it's inevitable. Governments all over the world get more and more dictatorial, more powerful, and people become less and less free. And we have to do our best to prevent that. I personally have a website, but it's not for campaign fundraising. It's called freemarketprinciples.com. But if you want to contribute to Arthur Kirshen for mayor of Tucson, you can contribute directly to the Libertarian Party of Pima County. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, I'm Janet Wittenbreaker. My friends call me JL, and I'm running for mayor of Tucson. I have been working in the city of Tucson for 20 years now. And when I came here, funny story, I'm going to go less than 2 minutes, but I wasn't degreed yet. I actually came here from California, where I was a contracts administrator. And when I came to Tucson, I quickly realized there was no way I can make a living without a college degree, because Tucson doesn't have a job market that supports smart people that perhaps were smart enough not to go to college. But I was lucky. I was on the 20-year plan, so I got to finish my degree quickly. And when I did, I was immediately hired by the city manager's office. And that's where I learned how the sausage was made. And I complained for 10 years until I said enough is enough. And I think all of us here in this room are in the same boat. Enough is enough. But we got a problem. We have a crowded ballot. So you in the audience, I ask you to think hard and reach in your soul and figure out who's the best candidate to take down Regina Romero, who's single-handedly destroying this city. And I'll tell you, there is a direct correlation between the 2019 election, when her only opposition was a lackluster candidate and couldn't get it across the ballot. So I ask you, vote for me, the Republican with libertarian tendencies. And please remember, campaigns cost money. They do. And I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to go over time just quickly, but it's going to be a libertarian thing I'm going to say. You know why elections are expensive? Because the corrupt politicians have made it that way to prevent people from getting into our elections. So please donate to your candidates if you can. Thank you.
Thank you again to all the candidates. I appreciate it. Since everybody's plugging, please visit pimalp.org for the Pima Libertarian Party, as well as azlp.org for the state level party. Again, thank you all for attending. Thank you to all the candidates. Thanks for those who are watching online. And candidates, don't forget your badge for attendance. That's right. All right, thanks again. Drew, did you want to say something? Closing statements from our chair? Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you all for coming tonight, and I really do commend each and every one of you for stepping up to the plate, and I do completely mean it. I hope that you will take your gift, and in there is that libertarian book, okay? Now listen. You know, along with, Sherry's Berries and Barrio Bread, come on, because I was listening. And, what I heard basically was, I loved that Sean asked the question. It was a great question. Why aren't you then libertarian, right? Because I hear that all the time as the chairman for the Libertarian Party. I'm Democrat, but I'm libertarian leaning. I'm Republican, but I'm libertarian leaning. So then why aren't you libertarian, right? What I heard is that you don't really understand what libertarianism is. And that's why I would ask that you take a look inside the booklet, because you may not agree with everything, but there are myths about libertarianism that basically it's a myth buster book about libertarianism. And let's just say after you read the preface, because that was the part about being peaceful, right? You could harness some of the most peaceful, productive people in your society by engaging libertarians, right? If you want to engage them more, then after that preface, and you understand what we stand for, and that is living together peaceably, go down the table of contents, and if you go, yo, that's an interesting topic, you don't have to read the whole thing. Just take what you have an interest in. Look at what the libertarians have to say, and let us know what you think. And even if you disagree, that's okay. I can live peaceably with you. Okay? That's what I always say. So the last few things that I will say is my favorite economist, Leonard Read, is it's not a numbers problem. It's not a selling problem. It's a learning problem. And I'll close with the final words of John Quincy Adams. Always vote your principles, even if you stand alone. And then you will cherish and you'll reflect with cherishment, I'm paraphrasing horribly here, that your vote is never lost. I don't believe that it is a numbers problem with how many people we have on our side. It's far more how many people have lost their morals and do not vote their morals. So whatever that is, I pray that people will stand on their morals and vote them, even if they stand alone. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.